are now locked in and listening to The Issue.
This guy is a franchise quarterback, and no, I don't want to hear any pushback on that.
It feels like a top 10 roster to me. It feels like it can win a championship.
This is The Issue.
Yo, what's up? We are back. It is The Issue. Thursday, December 7th. We are now into December. First episode of December of here on The Issue. We have come a long way this season. Going into week 14 now in the NFL, we have a ton of stuff to talk about. We got college football in the first rant, and Tim's rant. It's going to be good. Whenever you can start packing college football, and especially after the selection has been made for those top 4 teams to move on to the college football playoffs, there's, I guess, some debate around it. We'll get to that. I think
they got it right.
I think they got it right. I think they have the best teams, the most talent in there. Nobody wants to watch a backup quarterback at Florida State.
Right, and I'm going to get into it here in a second, but they told you exactly what they think the college football playoff should be. It's not about who went undefeated. It's about who are the best 4 teams, period. That's how it is.
Exactly. And the most interesting, especially because you only have 4 teams, so you're only getting a couple games out of it. They want the best ratings. Like, they want to make the most money. That's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome. We'll get to that to start the show. And then we're also going to have a little bit of a secondary rant on Brock Purdy to get things started off here. And then we're going to have hits and misses like we normally do to finish the first segment. Into the second segment, we will have our Week 14 predictions and our Week 14 bets on a budget. Moving into the third, we'll have our news segment. And then, of course, Game of the Week, which this time we have the Buffalo Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs. But, guys, no matter how you're joining us today, we appreciate it. You can watch the show on YouTube, Spotify, and Amazon Prime Video. You can listen to the show on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, iTunes, iHeartRadio, and, of course, the iHeartRadio app. So like I say, guys, no matter how you're joining us, we appreciate it.
Right, and we already touched on it. I do think the College Football Playoff Committee got it right. I think Michigan is clear-cut the best team in the country. So, of course, they're number 1. I do think Washington beating Oregon twice, beating Utah, they have good top 25 wins. They have good top 10 wins against Oregon. Being able to beat a team twice is impressive. An undefeated champ in one of the better Power 5 conferences, right? I would say the Pac-12 was probably the 3rd best conference this year, right? You go SEC, Big Ten. I'd say Pac-12 was a 3rd. So I think Washington 2nd is deserving of that. Texas having beat Bama on the road, that's probably the best win of any team in the country. Going on the road to Tuscaloosa, that's the best win in the country for anybody. So they're in, of course, as a Big 12 champ, and then Alabama with that impressive win over Georgia, and they deserve to get in. If you beat the consensus best team for the last 2.5, 3 years, and you beat them fairly convincingly, yes, it was close at the end, but there were stretches where that was a 10-point, 12-point game down the stretch. That was an impressive win for Bama. So I think they got it right. And now you'll hear all the Florida State fans, well, it's not fair just because our quarterback's hurt. I do not give a damn about fair. The committee does not give a damn about fair. They just flatly don't care. They just don't care. You're telling me that you're going to beat Louisville like that and expect to get in? What was it, 10-6? I mean, it was like a competition to try to lose the damn game. It was abysmal. I mean, it looks like the offenses forgot how to play football. Well, Tim, but they have really good defenses. That's why. It wasn't the offense were bad. They have good. So does Michigan. You think I want to watch that shit show? You think I want to watch Michigan destroy Florida State? I do because I like Michigan. But from a TV product standpoint, I don't want to watch that. Well, they have good defenses. Yes, so do the college football playoff teams. So if you expect to go in and still compete just because of your defense, you're not. You're going to get rolled. Ask yourself this, and I know Florida State's the 5th team. Do they even deserve to be top 10? Well, what would the line be on Oregon, Michigan? 7.5 maybe to Michigan? Maybe. More. I'm thinking closer to 5.5, 6. What would the line be for Georgia, Michigan? Is there an argument that Georgia would be favored? I think it'd be a pretty steady argument. I'll tell you that right now. Right? There are other teams in the top 10 that got quote-unquote snubbed that I think are significantly better than Florida State, and they're actually ranked behind Florida State. And there's the games have to matter. The games do matter. You're number 5 in the country. You're going to go play a really, really good New Year's Six Bowl. You being undefeated earns you a right to the table to have a discussion. Just because you're at the table having the discussion doesn't mean that you automatically get in to the club. Just because you apply to the country club doesn't mean that you get into the country club. Just because you're able to sit down and interview for a job doesn't mean you get the job. Your record are your credentials. Your credentials get you an interview. Right? Your credentials open doors. They don't get you through doors. There's context. There's nuance to all this. Like, ask yourself, and even you Florida State fans, seriously, like, and I think I can come from a very experienced spot in this because I'm a Steeler fan. Ask yourself seriously, do you really go into that Michigan game thinking you stand a flippin' chance? Do you? Because we're sitting here, last week we were ranking the top 10 teams. Pittsburgh's a playoff team, huh? They're 7-4. They're the best wild card team in the AFC. And there's Buffalo coming off a couple losses. They're 6-6 at the time. We ranked Buffalo above Pittsburgh. If you think I'm actually, as a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, realistically thinking that we have a chance against Buffalo, that I wouldn't be shaking in my boots, that we wouldn't be an underdog against Buffalo, you're out of your damn mind. Like, nobody outside of Tallahassee, Florida, actually believes that Florida State has a viable chance against any of these teams. The committee did the right thing. They have the 4 best teams. I don't give a damn about fair. I don't care about deserving. Right? I think there's a very strong misconception in this country, and especially in the sports world, well, whoever deserves it should get it. That's not how it works at all. There's players from all over the country, from every type of situation. There's players who were orphans. There are players who were abused. There's players who have been in and out of trouble, and they've cleaned their life up. There are so many different backgrounds. And if you tell me that those people that have went through the shit don't deserve it, then I'm going to tell you you're wrong. They, of course, deserve it. But it's sports. Deserving doesn't mean you get it. Right? There's plenty of people that deserve everything, a ton of things, even more than I would, right? There's plenty of people that deserve a ton of credit, a ton of recognition, whatever the case may be. Life's not fair. It doesn't mean you get all that credit, recognition, whatever you think you deserve. You don't always get it. That's called the reality of life. All right, moving on. I want to talk about the Brock Purdy situation and him being up for league MVP. I did a little TikTok on it, so I'm going to keep it short. I actually think it's a very short argument to have. I think the only thing you need to know is that it's a little bit crazy to have 2 separate Brock Purdy MVP conversations when there's a 3-game stretch in between those 2 discussions where there is a legitimate point in time where there's a question, should he be benched for Sam Darnold? I don't understand how do you have a 5-game stretch where you're like, Brock Purdy's the MVP, and then we see him without the Avengers squad be awful for 3 weeks. Maybe not awful, but not MVP caliber for 3 weeks. Have a discussion that he should be benched for Sam Darnold, who we ran out of New York and is cast away. And now he has another, 3 or 4 game stretch, and we're like, oh, he's the MVP again? What the hell happened? What the hell happened? I just think that's a little bit crazy. And I don't think I'm a Brock hater. I think Brock's a top 10 quarterback this year. I think there's a legitimate argument Brock Purdy's a top 5 NFL quarterback this season. Production, and I do think the whole value discussion, there's some nuance to it as well, because I think there is value to him being a cheap quarterback. We talk about most valuable in terms of, well, is he the reason the offense wins? Well, no. I don't think he's the most valuable on his offense. I don't think he's the most valuable in his backfield. But I do think he's a valuable piece to that team, especially knowing how low his salary is and how well he's playing above his expected production given his salary. I do think there's value in that. But to not even be the most valuable person in your backfield, that's a little bit insane. Again, I don't think I'm a Brock hater. I think he's a top 5 quarterback. I think he should be in the running for MVP. But to have him as a favorite above a Dak, above a Tyreek Hill, are we kidding? That's insane. I don't think I'm a hater to say that he's not the best player in the world, in the most prestigious league. Like, I'm not being a hater, right? Like, so I don't know, pick your favorite sport, right? We'll go baseball. I'm not a hater to say that I don't think Elly De La Cruz was the MVP last year, right? There was a stretch where he first came up for those couple weeks where people were like, he's going to be MVP of the league. And I was like, no, he's not, right? He's like 19 years old. He strikes out more times than he hits, right? He's got like double the strikeouts as he does getting on base. He's not an MVP. Exciting, yes. I'm not hating on him to say he's not the best player in the league, right? I'm not hating on Brock Purdy to say that he doesn't deserve the most prestigious award in the most prestigious league in America and arguably the world. Very good player, deserves a ton of credit, should be in the running for it. Who knows? If he strings together 4 or 5 more games like this, we have a legitimate argument. But right now to say he's the favorite over a Dak, over a Tyreek Hill, hell, I don't even like Myles Garrett, but over a Myles Garrett, I think that's a stretch too far. That's a leap that I'm just not willing to make yet.
I 100% agree on that one. You can't put a guy like Brock up for the award when you have the amount of talent that you do from other players this season. It would just be a total snub to people like Dak, total snub to people like Jalen Hurts. Like, there are other people that are the catalyst for winning games and for a team being successful. We've always said that Brock is just kind of the, I don't want to say like supplemental piece, but he's
like the off-speed pitch. We'll keep going back to the baseball analogy. He's the off-speed pitch.
He's very much carried by the fastball, which is everybody else on that. The Debo, the Christian McCaffrey. Without them, he's not even, like, you wouldn't even bring his name up in the discussion for MVP without those players.
Right, and I don't have a problem with you having talent. Like, Patrick Mahomes won the MVP when he had Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, right? Even his wide receiver 2 was good at the time. Like, DeMarcus Robinson was a viable 2 or 3 at the time, right? Like, I'm fine with you having talent. That's not the argument, right? Almost everybody has talent. But even then, the quarterback still has to be the catalyst for that talent. I don't think he's the catalyst all the time. Does he make really good throws? Yeah. But I would love to see a breakdown, and maybe I'll do the breakdown. How many of his touchdowns are more than 5 yards down the field? Half of them? You know how many screen plays and slants I've seen taken? That Debo play.
Yeah, that
Come
was...
on. That's an in-breaking route, 6 yards in the middle of the field, nobody in the middle of the field. You hit Debo. You hit Debo wide open. Debo breaks a tackle, makes 3 guys miss, and runs it 60 yards to the house.
And because he's the second coming of Megatron, he took it all the way.
Brock got it to the right place, made a good, accurate throw. Touchdown. Right? Brock deserves credit. But to say that warrants him the MVP of the league is a little bit ridiculous.
It is.
That's all I'm saying.
That's a little far out there.
I think he's a really good quarterback. I think he's fantastic. Ton of value given the salary. I don't think he's the MVP of the league.
Love it, man. Solid rant today.
Hey, thanks. I was feeling passionate today.
Absolutely. A little alpha brain maybe on that side.
Got to. The ideas are flowing.
Yeah, there we go. Let's keep them flowing. We're going to move into hits and misses.
Well, San Francisco hit number 1 here. San Francisco rolled again. Now, I know I called San Francisco. You had Philly. But, I mean, it was pretty consensus that San Francisco is a fantastic football team. Would you... Here's the question for you. Is San Francisco the best team in football?
I mean, there's definitely a solid argument for it. I mean, we saw... So, going into this week, I think Philly was kind of the number 1 team. It was kind of unspoken, but I feel like they were kind of the consensus number 1, the best record. Hey, you can't stop... They have a play that's unstoppable to the rest of the league in the tush push.
Jalen had been good.
They have so many weapons that Jalen can use to beat you, but then also Jalen can beat you with his legs. Like, they had so many ways to win and different things that they could throw at them. So now that we've seen San Francisco beat Philadelphia, I think...
fashion, too?
I think
42-19.
You have to put San Francisco at number 1, right?
I would agree. I would say San Francisco is the best team in football. And we said this last week. San Francisco's A game has always been the best team in football. From week 1, if they play their A game and they're healthy, they've been the best team in football. But the concern is, what team am I getting week to week? Am I going to get turnovers from Brock Purdy? Am I getting injuries on the offensive line? Like, so it's the only question has been consistency in terms of injuries and then turnovers. And if they play an anywhere an A- game or better, I think they're the best team in football.
Yeah.
I don't even think they actually. I think that was about an A game. I don't even think it was an A+ game. I think it was an A game, and they destroyed. They destroyed
crazy.
them. I still think they could have had another gear to it. Yeah.
42-19.
Wild.
That's a whooping.
Yeah, I would say they're the best team in football.
Yeah.
Mr. number 2 here. We actually picked the Jets.
Ooh.
What was that about?
I don't know. Well, they were playing Atlanta, so you have to...
That's true. So they lose again, of course. And in that fashion, right, 13-8. You got a safety. It was just an ugly game.
Yeah.
Crappy game. Tim Boyle's, awful. They want Zach Wilson to go back and be the starter, but he is now saying he doesn't want to start. What do you do with this team? Here's my question. Should the Jets consider firing Robert Saleh? And if not, then what is the solution? Because if the solution isn't a new coach, There's clearly something wrong in that locker room. Zach Wilson doesn't even want to play football right now.
Which is, you never hear that from an NFL quarterback.
Right. So what's your solution? Do you fire Saleh? What do you do?
Well, the thing that sucks is you didn't get to see Saleh with Aaron Rodgers, and I think I don't know how much of an impact he would even really have with Aaron, because Aaron's an old veteran anyway. He's gonna get his way. He's gonna kind of have things done the Aaron Rodgers way, right? I feel like it's more of an Aaron Rodgers team more than a Robert Saleh team. So I wouldn't say it's like the end of the world if you move off of him. I would have thought that like you would see some more promise by this point, and things start rolling and clicking. And it's a problem because the entire locker room is divided. So
I would agree. Yeah, I think there's a defense versus an offense issue right now because the offense is so bad.
Directly to the head coach. So
that's exactly what I was thinking.
If you get rid of him, that's fine.
So I would say the solution this year is not to fire Saleh mid-season. I will say that. I think you'd let him ride it out. I don't think you fire him anyway. I think if anybody deserves blame, it's the general manager. Because I think doing the whole Aaron Rodgers family plan over the offseason has been just a disaster. It has just been an abject disaster.
None of the pieces are working.
Nat Hackett is the worst coordinator in football. Tim Boyle and Zach Wilson are the worst backup quarterback duo in football. Allen Lazard and Randall Cobb are the two worst wide receiver signings on the year. Maybe Juju is up there as well. It has been an unmitigated mess. This whole little family Aaron Rodgers plan. It's been terrible. It's been awful. And to me, that all goes to the GM. I know he's hit on a couple late round picks. I know he drafted Sauce Gardner and Garrett Wilson. You missed on a quarterback. You missed on a left tackle. As of right now, your coach has a losing record. You have no backup plan for that. Aaron Rodgers is 40 and you're paying him a fortune. And you signed all of his friends and they all suck. And you have a terrible offensive coordinator. I mean, I know you have a couple good draft picks. It's been a disaster. It's been a disaster.
It does not look good.
Yeah. All right, next one here. Hey, number 2 here. Trouble in the Berg. We said this. What did I say when we were doing predictions? I should have just picked Arizona, right? I said this is such a game the Steelers lose. This is absolutely a game that Pittsburgh lose. It's at home, heavy favorite, bad team, kind of rainy, right? And of course they lose. Another disappointing loss and a Kenny Pickett injury. So now the Steelers are going to look for Mitch Trubisky to guide them into some victories. That could be interesting. Question here, can the Steelers still make the playoffs? And if they do, can they even compete, let alone win a playoff game?
No, hard no, actually.
On both of that, or is that just the second?
I think both. I think...
Can they make the playoffs? First question.
Obviously, there's a chance of them making the playoffs. Do I think it's a good chance? No, I think week by week we see this team, the chance of them making the playoff goes down. You lose to Arizona at home, then what? So now you have Mitch Trubisky and a bunch of young offensive pieces against Bill Belichick and his defense. So that doesn't look good. You lose that game, then you're really screwed because then you have to go into the next part of the season. You have to go to Seattle, and then you have to go to Baltimore at the end of the season.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of tough games coming up for Pittsburgh.
Indianapolis.
To Indy. There's a lot of tough games coming up that I don't think they're going to have the upper hand in, and I don't trust this team to win those games. So conversely, I don't think that's going to land them in a playoff spot, and I don't think
if they do,
if they do get there, they're not going to win a game.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I don't think they make the playoffs ultimately. I think they win one of their next 5 games.
Hell, dude,
I think they go 1-4 down the stretch. They finish 8-9. Tomlin finishes with a losing record for the first time in his career. And I think there's serious questions about his job security moving forward. And if they do make the playoffs somehow at like 9-8, 10-7, I don't think they win. In fact, I think they lose by 3 touchdowns.
If the playoffs started today, season ends today.
We play Miami.
Yeah, that's not going to go very well.
Boat raced.
No.
Done. Wait. I think since the Chiefs lost, we would actually get the Chiefs.
Oh, great. Yeah. We'd have a fighting chance against
either the Chiefs or the Jags, I believe we would get. But either way, I still think we get boat raced by both, even if C.J. Beathard's starting for the Jags.
Yeah.
Next one here. Pat Mahomes, and perfect segue there. They're struggling, of course. They dropped a tough game at Lambeau. Mahomes, of course, not panicked, right? In his press conference, he's like, oh, it's just fine. It's fine. I don't know if it is fine. They're averaging only 22 a game, close to 23 for the season, 22 a game over the last 3 games. They've lost 3 of their last 4, Are they a Super Bowl contender? I think they're a playoff team. I think they're going to win the division. But I think they could even win a playoff game. Are they a Super Bowl contender, though?
It doesn't feel like it. Like, in years past, Kansas City always feels like they're in the Super Bowl bubble. Like, that if anybody is going to win the Super Bowl in the NFL other than Kansas City, they're going to have to beat Kansas City. Like, you know that you're going to have to beat Kansas City at some point, or they are going to be the team. It just doesn't feel like that. They don't have that same feel to them. Their offense is a little lackluster. There's just nothing there. There's nothing that's popping right now.
I would still say that they are a Super Bowl contender because you have the best quarterback in the world.
Well, yes,
and as long as they get into the playoffs and have at least one home game, which they will because they're going to win their division, I do think that they have a chance. Just because on a singular game basis, if I'm going in with that quarterback, I have a chance.
Yeah, they always have a chance, but I don't
think they should be a favorite.
Some of these other teams, I think they're maybe the fourth, fifth team down the list if you're looking at odds.
Yeah, I think that's fair. All right, officiating, guys. Here, hit number 3. We've been very critical of NFL officiating.
It's getting worse.
It's getting significantly worse.
Yeah.
Who are the worst officials, NFL or NBA?
This year, NFL.
I would agree with you. I think overall NBA usually, but NFL has been awful this year. What do you do? I think you need full-time referees.
You need full-time guys that get paid a salary even during the offseason, and during offseason they get shipped off to training.
Yes.
And they stay there until the season starts again. It should be a freaking Navy SEAL training type.
I don't know about all that, but I agree though. If it's going to be a salary position, they should have a 40-hour work week all year round. So when you're not officiating games, you're training, you're studying, you're doing whatever.
It needs to be.
Maybe if it's not all year round, 40 weeks out of the year, you should be either working or training.
Thank God. Can we get some structure? Can these guys take a little bit of accountability for these horrendous calls recently?
To see running backs get fined for blocking and then for referees not get fined for this is ridiculous.
We were talking about it last week. If Hines Ward was in today's NFL, do you know how many? He'd be at a net loss on the season.
He'd be paying to play.
He'd be at a net loss on the season.
I'd agree. Miss number 3 here. This is primarily on me. I thought Bryce Young was going to be a very good quarterback, but he continues to struggle. I think it's done. I would move off of him if I was Carolina after this year. I would go ahead and draft a quarterback. If you're going to have a second-round pick, I would take a chance on a Jordan Travis. I would take a chance in the 4th or 5th on a Sam Hartman. I would move off of Bryce Young. I don't think he's very good. I think there's an argument I'd start Andy Dalton the rest of the year, get Bryce Young out of the spotlight. I think he's terrible. I don't think he's got a future. I don't know. What are your thoughts on Bryce Young?
I'm pretty sure you and everybody knows my thoughts on Bryce Young, unless you're watching for the first time. I've never been on board with him. Around the draft, I was saying I wouldn't take him. He's undersized. Everybody saw the video, too, once he got to training camp of him looking like a 7th grader behind that offensive line. He's small. He's undersized. He doesn't have any really redeeming qualities. And I said it last week. I think he was a really good system guy at Alabama. The system was built for him. He had the best offensive line. He had some of the best weapons in college football. Obviously, you're going to look good. Can you hit the receiver that's 15 yards open and nobody's around him? Absolutely. You should be able to if you're an Alabama quarterback. He gets to the NFL. Things change. Windows close. Throws need to be on time. There are so many different little things that come with the speed of the NFL that you have to be able to keep up with. And so far, he has not been able to do that. I don't think he's ever going to be able to do that. Those are the feelings on Bryce Young.
Damn. I got to say I agree. I think you were right on that one. I was wrong. That was miss number 3. That's it for hits and misses. Don't go anywhere. We have Week 14 predictions on the other side of the break as well as bets on a budget. Welcome back. Thursday the 7th of December already, 12/7. If you missed the first segment, go back, watch it. We had a little rant. We talked about Florida State. Oh, it's not fair we didn't get in. I don't give a damn about fair. I just don't care. I'm rapping now, it sounds like. Brock Purdy MVP discussion, which I think is a little bit crazy, although he has been good. Strings together a couple more. Who knows? Maybe I'll come around on that. And, of course, we had hits and misses per usual. We appreciate you guys listening, watching, however you are. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, anywhere, YouTube. So we appreciate it. That's all I got. I don't know. I think I did all the shout-outs. Did I miss anything?
No, Spotify Wrapped came out this year. That was freaking awesome.
Nice. I like seeing that, both personally and for the, for us here with the podcast.
It's just, I love seeing it and, going over it for the podcast and looking at mine. I don't feel the need to post it, though.
No, if you post it, I don't like you. I don't care what you listen to. I just don't.
And especially, everybody on Instagram.
It's a little much.
Come on.
It's a little much. Famous people, maybe.
Yeah. Like, do I care what Morgan Wallen's listening to, what his Spotify rap looks like?
You think he listens to himself?
I don't know.
I feel like he probably doesn't. I feel like he likes to sprinkle it around. Did he post his? I didn't see it.
I don't know. I didn't see it either.
So I doubt it.
I don't know. The point being, Spotify rap came out. Podcast is doing really good. We appreciate you guys listening. You guys are killing it over there on Spotify for us. So everybody watching on Spotify, that one's for you. Shout out. Appreciate you. But we have a filled segment to get to here in the second segment. We got Week 14 predictions. We got Week 14 bets on a budget, as you had mentioned. We're going to start with the predictions like we normally do. So, Week 14 NFL predictions. Every pick for every game. Let's go.
We'll start with this horrendous game tonight. The Patriots at the Steelers.
Oof.
I will not watch this football game. I just won't do it. I just refuse to watch Mitch Trubisky and Bailey Zappi or Bailey Zappi Jr. try to play quarterback. I just can't do it. I don't want to see it. If I had to pick somebody, I'm going to go with the Steelers because they're at home. They're wearing the color rush uniforms. Crowd will be jazzed up. I'll take the Steelers by a field goal. It's going to be the worst game. I think it's going to be like a 9-7 game. I'm going to go Steelers don't score a touchdown, 3 field goals. Patriots score 1 touchdown, nothing else. I think the Steelers win on a last-minute field goal. It's going to be 9-7.
Yeah, there's nothing really to look forward to here. I'm going to have it on as background noise, if anything. It's just, this is one of the most boring games that you could possibly throw together here. I mean, it was so boring already that when they were hyping it up last Thursday, it was T.J. Watt
and Bill Belichick.
And Bill Belichick is like the matchup picture that they made on that graphic. That's how you know it's going to be bad.
Well, because who are you going to put up for the Patriots?
Yeah, if they're using a coach though,
do they have a top 200 player on their entire roster? Think about 200 people. That's a lot of people.
That's a lot of people.
I don't think they have a top 200 player on their roster.
There's got to be somebody.
I don't think they have a top 300 player on their roster.
There's got to be somebody.
I'm waiting.
I don't know who it is though.
Christian Gonzalez, the rookie corner, but he's hurt.
I mean, this game is so...
Matthew Judon, maybe? But I think he's been banged up, too.
Is devoid of talent.
It's terrible. All right, let's go with Detroit at the Chicago Bears. I think Detroit's a better team. Yeah. I like Jared Goff will take the better quarterback. I do worry about it being a little bit cold, but they actually run the football really well with David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, so I'll take the Lions to win by a touchdown.
I like the Lions. I don't like the Bears at all, and I don't like to pick it to be close, especially when...
It's a divisional game, though.
Yeah, that's the only reason.
Yeah.
Like, these two teams in division matched up against each other. I think it's going to be a little chippy, a little close, but, yeah, the Lions win in the end.
Panthers at the Saints. Panthers are, again, devoid of talent. I've never seen a worse coach team in football. I know I didn't agree with the firing of Frank Reich, and I think it even shows you they were significantly worse coached this past week than they have been the previous 11 weeks with Frank Reich.
Yeah.
I mean, this team is devoid of hope. Bryce Young's awful. The coaching staff is awful. Offensive line is horrendous. No talent on the outside. Saints are a much better football team. They'll win comfortably.
I like that.
Rams at the Ravens. I love the Ravens here. Mm-hmm. Think about teams that come over from the NFC. They just get... But if you don't play Lamar frequently, how do you prepare for him?
You don't.
You just don't. Who do the Rams have? Stetson Bennett? Is he on the practice squad? Is he who do you have simulating Lamar Jackson in practice?
You can't do it.
Duck Hodges, John Wolford. Who are you
to properly simulate Lamar? The only thing that you could possibly do, there's like rolling, like tackling dummies that like move on their own. You do that. You crank the speed to as fast as that son of a bitch goes.
Could you imagine
you let that thing spin around in circles back there?
I don't even know what you would. I don't even know how you simulate Lamar. I think the Ravens win by a ton.
Yeah, I love it.
Jags traveling to Cleveland, most likely without Trevor Lawrence. Still questionable, but leaning towards doubtful. I'm going to go ahead and take the Browns. And there's an argument I'd take the Browns even with Trevor Lawrence playing for the Jags. I think the defense is really good. They come back home, cold, windy, right? A warm weather team coming up to the cold, windy north. I'll take the Browns. I think it is going to be close, but I'll lean Browns slightly because Joe Flacco probably won't make a ton of mistakes.
Yeah, you came over to my side there for sure. I know this was one that we were kind of going back and forth on a little bit. But the Browns here, it's the play. And even Trevor Lawrence starting against that pass rush, against that defense, while he's not fully ready to go, fully 100% to get ugly, and just that defense in general. We've been saying it all year. Is there anything, after seeing the Jags in person, is there anything that makes you look at them and go,
they don't
that's a really special team?
Yeah, they don't impress. They're good. They don't blow me away.
No.
Yeah. Buccaneers at the Falcons. I'll take the Falcons. They're the home team. They run the football more effectively. It's a coin flip on quarterback. I don't really care. I don't feel strongly one way or the other. I think Baker's slightly better, but I think the coaching staff in Atlanta is a lot better. So I'll go ahead and lean Atlanta. Coaching staff, run game. I think the front seven is a little bit better. So I don't feel great about it, but
I'm going Atlanta too.
Yeah,
it's bad when we're both picking Atlanta
because we don't like to bet Atlanta. We try to not bet Atlanta.
No,
we frequently bet against Atlanta.
I stay away from them at all costs.
Yeah, right.
But when they're playing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who have just been an absolute.
They started.
Let's be honest. They've been a shit show.
They started 3-1. They've gone 2-6 the rest of the way. I mean, they're not good. They're not good. Texans at the Jets. There's an argument that this could be a 4-touchdown game.
Yeah. Who's
scoring points? I mean, D'Amico Ryans is a really good head coach. Like, that defense is playing really well in Houston. So I don't know. It doesn't matter who's starting at quarterback. I think the Jets are screwed. I'll take the Texans.
Yeah, I'm taking Texans here, too. The better offense, better defense.
One thing I'm noticing, there's a lot of really low over-unders this week. 30 in that Thursday night game. Mm-hmm. 37 in the Saints-Panthers. 31 in the Jags-Browns. 33 in the Texans-Jets. Like, there's a lot of low over-underers.
Yeah, a lot of bad matchups this week. I don't like this week. A lot of,
like, bad quarterback play is what it is. I don't mind seeing it, though. It's kind of fun sometimes. I'm not going to watch if it's two bad quarterbacks, but whatever. Yeah. Colts at the Bengals. This is a coin flip. We're going to be split on this. You like the Colts, which I don't hate because I think Gardner Minshew is slightly better. But I think Jake Browning is a very viable quarterback. He actually, I know he's not Joe Burrow, but that's who you would want as your backup to Joe Burrow. They play very similar. Not special arms, but very good enough. Good accuracy. Can move a little bit, although they're not mobile. Calm, collected. They run a good offense. They're precise. They're on time. Yeah. I think Jake Browning's got a little bit of it. He only had 5 incompletions in prime time on the road.
Yeah, 32 for 37. He looked good.
That's a legit defense. Like they're not great, but they're a viable defense. They're a middle of the pack defense, and he played really well. So I'll go ahead and go with the home Bengals with Jake Browning. Again, I could see it in the other way around as well.
I'm taking the Colts, and this is probably my least favorite pick of the week. I don't feel great because I was impressed by Jake Browning. 32 for 37 for over 350 yards, a touchdown through the air, and adding one with his legs on the ground. So he's very competent. And the thing that I like about Cincinnati, I know I'm not picking them, but it has to be said, when you can rely on a backup quarterback like that, because he wasn't just like there to like make the easy throws. Like he made a lot of really nice throws, and they relied on. He dropped back 37 times.
Yeah,
37 times.
You can see the difference between well-run organization. Look at the Jets with a backup quarterback. They are an abject disaster. Mm-hmm. Look at Cincinnati's winning games against playoff teams on the road in prime time.
Credit to Zach Taylor.
That's Zach Taylor, the front office, everybody. Yeah. Everybody involved. Seattle at San Francisco. We're both going to go and take San Francisco. I think they're a better team, although I think it's going to be closer than a lot of people think it might be.
Yes. 100% it will be.
It's a divisional game. Those are always close. Pete Carroll plays Kyle Shanahan really tough.
Well, we just saw the Seattle Seahawks play pretty damn good on Thursday night.
They looked really... did you expect them to put up 35 or whatever they put up?
Against that Dallas defense?
That's a lot of points, yeah. DK looked good. Geno could throw the ball around.
At points, they look like a very, very, very solid, well-put-together team. And I think there's not enough to beat the 49ers, but it's enough to keep it close.
Yeah, I think they turned a little bit of a corner offensively. They've been struggling for a couple weeks. They turned a little bit of a corner there.
Yeah.
Vikings at the Raiders split here. I'll go with the Vikings. I think I'm getting the better offensive coach and a better quarterback with Josh Dobbs. I just don't trust the interim head coach and Aiden O'Connell, a rookie. So I'll go ahead and take, because Brian Flores loves to bring pressure, defensive coordinator for the Vikings. So I'll take the better coach, better quarterback combo.
Yeah. This one worries me a little bit.
You're going with the Raiders?
Yeah.
At home, is that what your play is?
Yeah.
At home, tougher defense. I'll give you that.
Plus, I like the pass rush.
I like the interim head coach.
This is one of the games where we saw Josh Dobbs defecate all over himself. 2 weeks ago?
That is true. Yeah. So we did see that. That was against what, the Bears? Yeah.
I'm just not sure what to expect.
That's a valid point.
I'll take the Raiders though.
All right, fair enough. I was thinking Raiders, but I'm going to go with the Vikings. Bills at the Chiefs. You're going to go ahead and take the home Chiefs. I am going with the dog on the road, the Buffalo Bills. Show me what category the Chiefs are better in.
Defense.
Depending on what stat category. It's close on defense. Buffalo's a real team. I know they're 6-6. I know they've lost a couple games. I know situationally they can drive you nuts. That's a good football team. I think they beat the Chiefs by a touchdown.
Okay.
I'm calling it. I think it's a good game. I think the Bills win by a touchdown.
All right.
Why do you like the Chiefs? Mahomes at home? Better coach?
We've said it 100 times this season. If the biggest problem for Kansas City is Mahomes and his receivers connection, I think they're in an okay spot. Their defense is playing well, which is shocking. We didn't think they'd be a top-of-the-league type defense, and they kind of are. They're top half, I'll give them that. So, I don't know. I think there's enough here, and this matchup usually goes one-sided, and usually the Chiefs come out the winner.
I saw Jordan Love hang 27 on him. That's all I'm saying. I think Josh is going to hang 35 on him. I like it 35-24, 11-point game.
Okay.
Buffalo wins. Broncos at the Chargers. I'm going to take the Broncos. I think they're a better running football team, and we know that the Chargers have trouble stopping the run. They'll get after the passer. So if they get up and now you're playing from behind, I don't love this pick as much, but I think the Broncos are going to run the football, ball control, and gash the Chargers up the middle. I'll take the Broncos to win by a field goal.
That's fair. Yeah, I like the Chargers. I think that there's enough potential there with Justin Herbert.
Yeah, 6 whole points, I'll tell you what.
And I don't it worries me and it concerns me, okay? And I don't like Brandon Staley, and it hurts and it makes me very, very uneasy to take Brandon Staley's Chargers here. But at the same time, I don't feel great about. I just watched the Texans undress the Denver Broncos.
I don't trust Russ either. I think they're going to have to run the football. If they don't run the football, I would agree with you.
Yeah.
But I'm just praying Sean has them running the football. Eagles at the Cowboys. I'm going to go and take the home Cowboys. I mean, the lines moved from 2.5 all the way up to 3.5, so people are betting on the boys, and I'm going to bet on the boys here. Eagles have just been playing with fire too much, and I think coming off so many tough, emotional games. I mean, look at the record after you play the Niners. Over the last 50 games, teams are 48-2. Or I'm sorry, 2-48 after playing the Niners. They are physical. They beat you up. That's 4 straight physical, tough games for the Eagles. I take the Cowboys here.
I'm taking the Eagles.
And more rest for the Cowboys. Side note, throwing that out there.
Okay, I'm taking the Eagles just based on the fact, great team, embarrassed. Thoroughly embarrassed.
Yeah.
They're going to play with a fire under their ass this week. I like the Eagles. I like Jalen Hurts. I like their weapons. I love A.J. Brown. I love Devonta Smith. I love their offensive line. The Eagles, I feel like they're going to be on the bounce back this week.
Fair enough. We'll see. Packers at the Giants, both going to take the Packers. I don't trust Tommy DeVito, whatever his name is, not trusting it. I'll take Jordan Love and the Packers. And then finally, the Dolphins hosting the Titans. These are 2 Monday Night Football games, by the way. Yeah, go Dolphins. Yeah, much better team. Yeah. Dolphins against bad teams always play really well.
High-flying offense.
Yeah. Big time. All right, guys, that is the prediction. So we got our splits. I'll take the Bengals. You're taking the Colts. I'll take the Vikings. You're taking the Raiders. Give me the Bills. You got the Chiefs. I'll take Broncos. You got the Chargers. And I will take the Cowboys. You're taking the Eagles.
All right. Fair enough. That's Week 14 predictions. Should be pretty good slate of I guess, splits there. I'm not going to say good slate of games. Because
I think the 5 splits are really good games. I think a lot of the other games are unwatchable.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
This Thursday night game is going to be painful.
It's going to be...
Again, like you said, I'll have it on as background noise. Not sure I feel good about it. We do have a bet on that game, though. So let's go ahead and get into bets on a budget, brought to you by SoBet. Go check out SoBet. The links are in any description or link tree that you could find from us. Use code THEISSUE when you sign up. It's really an investment, not a cost. Okay, let's go ahead and start with the New England Patriots at +5 at Pittsburgh. Points are going to be at a premium here. This is going to be low scoring, cold, crappy weather. The Patriots have held each of their last 4 opponents under 10 points. What's even more wild is that they're 0-4 in those games.
Yeah.
But my point being is those points are at a premium. I will take 5 points in a rough, weird, low-scoring type of game. Again, I think it's a 9-7 type Pittsburgh win. Just because they're at home. Boswell's the better kicker. The weird thing is I'm talking about a kicker in a game.
I was going to say, when you're betting on a kicker.
That's how you know it's going to be bad. But I do think New England keeps it close. 5 points is a lot of points in a game that is probably not going to see a team go over 10.
Yeah. You were talking about the lack of offensive production with New England. There's the same thing on the Pittsburgh side.
If you're a defensive coordinator, this is going to be a game that you want to watch film on.
Yeah,
it's going to be a good defensive game to watch.
100%. Get some pro tips from it.
Yeah. Let's go with Baltimore -7 versus the Rams. Baltimore against NFC teams at home. We saw Detroit go to Baltimore. Boat race. We saw Seattle go to Baltimore. Absolutely throttled. I don't think the Rams are going to fare any better. I mean, hell, Joe Flacco looked good for 3 quarters against them. I know he had a turnover late, but I mean, the Rams defense is not impressive. Lamar off a... Do they have a bye? I think they're off a bye.
I believe so.
We're going to say they're off a bye. I'm just going to roll with it. But anyway, no, even if they weren't off a bye, I think 7 is not enough. I think Baltimore wins by 2.5 touchdowns. I'm thinking it's a 17-point game.
Yeah, this one's not going to be close.
34-17 is my prediction.
Lamar is going to have his way with the Rams.
I couldn't agree more. Let's go Cleveland -3 versus Jacksonville. I think C.J. Beathard is starting. I would prefer to not have C.J. Beathard start as my quarterback on the road, cold, windy weather against one of the best defenses in football. I think Myles Garrett eats because the offensive line is definitely the weak point of that Jacksonville roster. You're not going to be able to run the football with ETN. I'll take Cleveland to win. Let's go 26-20.
I love this bet. I just have a question for you. Do you still feel the same way if Trevor Lawrence starts?
I have some hesitation, but yes.
Okay.
I think so.
I was going to say
because he's not going to be healthy. And with that offensive line not being great and Myles Garrett, he's going to have to be able to move a lot. I don't think he's going to be able to move a lot if he does play.
Yeah, I mean, you even get really good pressure from all parts of that pass rush from Cleveland.
Yeah, I agree. Let's go Seattle plus 10.5 at San Francisco. That's just so many points in a divisional game. I mean, a good coach in Pete Carroll. We saw them go toe-to-toe with Dallas on the road in prime time. They get extra rest. That was the Thursday night game. San Francisco coming off a physical game against Philadelphia. I think they take a step back. I'll take San Francisco to win by a touchdown. I'm going to go 31-24 San Fran.
Yeah, I was going to say, I still love San Fran winning this game. That's not the argument or the question.
Yeah.
But it's just a matter of...
Can it stay close?
Yes, and I think it will be.
Yeah. A game that's not going to stay close is Miami -14 versus Tennessee. So we get Miami at home. Miami against bad teams. Think about that. The really bad Denver team to start the year. Carolina, they throttle. Washington, they throttle. Mm-hmm. They crush bad teams. Tennessee is not a good football team. I'll take Miami by 4 touchdowns. I like 31-3 Miami.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't think Tennessee's very good.
And don't we just love Miami as a big favorite?
Dude, they cash for us every time. Every time.
I know. If there's any bet on this slip that you're gonna want to bet and take as a
Miami.
lock, it's the Miami.
It's Miami all day. It's Miami. All right, guys, those are bets on a budget for week, what is it now, 14, coming off a 2-2-1 week. Of course, the stupid Chargers game pushes. Brandon Staley can't freaking coach. Anyway, we got New England +5 against Pittsburgh, Baltimore -7 versus the Rams, Cleveland -3 versus Jacksonville, the underdog Seattle at +10.5 at San Francisco, and the big favorite Miami -14 versus Tennessee, which has been fairly free for us this year.
All right, well, we got to say it because we say it every week. Feels like a 5-0 week.
Feels like a 5-0 week.
Feels like 5-0.
Need it. We are 1% away from sharp.
We're still at 55%. We've been
that 2-2-1 killed us. If it's a 3-2 week, we are at 56%.
We're at the sharp one. I know. We're just
this one's feeling. I'm feeling 5-0. My favorite bet is actually that New England bet. That's 5 points in a game like that.
I would say
it's going to look like 1940 football.
For me, it's my favorite one. I'm going to go Miami. Second favorite one, I'm going to go New England. I'm a little worried about the Cleveland one. That's probably the one that
Okay, so like this New England game. We're gonna do a longer TikTok on this, right? And we'll post it. Go check it out. Kenny Pickett or Bailey Zappi or Mac Jones.
Kenny Pickett over Mac Jones, but
it's not. It's closer than you'd want to admit. C.J. Beathard or Kenny Pickett. Jake Browning or Kenny Pickett.
Jake Browning.
Jake Browning's
our guy.
Geno Smith or Kenny Pickett.
Geno Smith
easily. Geno Smith easily. Will Levis or Kenny Pickett.
Will Levis.
Right-handed Tua Tagovailoa or Kenny Pickett. Right-handed Tua Tagovailoa. We're going to do a longer form TikTok on that, so check that out, guys. That is all we have for this segment. Don't go anywhere. We have our news, tons of news. We'll talk about a little college football in there as well. And then we'll get to the game of the week, which I think we have, Buffalo and Kansas City?
Absolutely.
That's going to be awesome. I got Buffalo, you got Kansas City, so we'll talk more in depth on that as well.
Let's go. Third segment of The Issue. Thursday, December 7th. Can't believe we're already into December. We only have, this month of football left? And then we're into playoff football? Is that how that works?
I don't want to talk about it.
We got 1, 2. So this week that we've just predicted, we only have 4 more weeks to predict.
I don't want to talk about it.
That's
I'm upset. It's already fantasy playoffs. That's how you know you're deep into this. Like,
yeah.
I feel like it's only week 4 still. Like, why are we already in week 14? This is ridiculous.
I don't know. It doesn't make much sense. The time on the NFL season is winding down. So make sure you stay up to date with everything at theissuesports.com. We got everything over there. All the highlights from the show, everything you can go check out. Find our social medias, all the links to the show as well. And that's where you can find SoBet as well. So go on over to SoBet. Get some of those end of the year. Look, it's Christmas time. You need some money for Christmas presents. There are so many good picks over on SoBet from experts. And there's a guy over there, you said, hitting a 70% clip doing NFL prop bets?
Yeah.
It's an investment. Go sign up. Use code THEISSUE when you do. And then, go make a little extra scratch. Throw a couple extra bucks towards the Christmas presents this year. Be everybody's favorite in the family with SoBet,
Yeah.
How about that? I just kind of created an ad for them.
I love it, yeah. Why not? Why wouldn't you? Let's go ahead and get into the news. We like to mix it up here. We're going to go no NFL news because, we talk so much NFL. Let's mix it up, go some college football and even some baseball. Okay, story number 1 here. College Football Playoff Committee releases the top 4 teams, of course, the entire rankings, but top 4 is pretty much all anybody cares about. So we got Michigan, Washington, Texas, and Alabama 1 through 4 respectively. So we'll get that Michigan-Alabama matchup.
Yeah.
Going to be good. Michigan's here by 2.5. I'd probably lean Michigan at that number, 3.5. I don't know where I'd go. Washington at Texas. I think Washington's also the side. Those feel like the 2 best teams. Those feel like the 2 most consistent teams. I know what I'm going to get from Washington against Texas. I'm going to get a good power run game. Michael Penix is going to push the ball down the field. 3 really good receivers are going to spread you out. They're a great mix of run and pass. I think Penix is going to be good. Rome Odunze is going to be good. And I know exactly what I'm getting from Michigan. Power run game, down your throat, 2 tight ends, fullbacks.
Yeah.
Really good play action off of that with J.J. McCarthy, who can make plays with his legs. I feel like I know what I'm getting with both of those teams. I'll go with. I'm gonna. Those feel like the 2 best teams in the country. I'm gonna be different though because I think that Texas has more talent. I think it's a Texas-Michigan national championship game. So I'll take Texas over Washington close, although I think Washington has the argument that they're a better football team. I think the talent is going to go towards Texas. I think that's going to matter down the stretch. And I'll take Michigan over Bama because I think they're the better, more consistent team. They can run the football. I don't trust Jalen Milroe. I do trust J.J. McCarthy.
Okay. Then who do you like to win it all? Like way too early predictions because we're going to obviously go over these. And
Michigan versus Texas?
Yes.
Michigan. I think Michigan's the best team in the country. Go Blue. I think they are the best team in the country, top to bottom.
Okay.
I think they have the best coach right now in the top 4. And I like, obviously, Nick Saban is great. Historically, he's the best of all 4 of these. Right now, I think Harbaugh's better. I think he's definitely better than Steve Sarkisian. There's an argument with Kalen DeBoer. I'm interested because he is the Washington head coach, knows how to mix and match power run and spread them out, throw the ball. I'd probably lean Michigan. I think it's going to be really close. I think this is the best 4 teams we've gotten.
Yeah, I was going to say. I feel like everybody here, you can kind of see a path to victory.
It was ridiculous when Cincinnati got in. That's the dumbest pick ever.
Yeah. Now, I will say,
They got freaking boat raced.
Do we have anything else in college football in the news here?
Yeah, the next one is we're just talking about the Heisman finalists.
Okay, because let's stay here for a second.
Okay. Yeah.
Everybody that's pissed off about the whole Florida State thing. Come on. This is obviously the best slate of matchups that we could have gotten.
I could agree. Okay, so like the Florida State argument. Let's look at the next 10 teams behind them. Georgia is number 6. I think I would take Georgia over Florida State.
Yes.
Ohio State is 7. I would take Ohio State. Oregon.
I'd take Oregon.
I would take Oregon. Missouri. I would take Missouri. They have the best running back in the country, and Brady Cook can sling it.
Yeah.
I would take Missouri. Penn State.
I'd take Penn State.
I think Penn State's front is overwhelming. I think they would beat Florida State. Ole Miss. I think it'd be close. I'd probably lean Ole Miss. They have a really good quarterback. Jackson Dart can play. Quinshon Judkins can run.
The lineup for the 12-team playoff. Did you see what it would have looked like this year?
Oh, yeah. I'm looking at it right now. So it would be Oklahoma's 12. Would you take Oklahoma or Florida State?
Oklahoma, honestly.
To me, that's closer than I think a lot of people want to admit. I would probably lean Oklahoma. Yeah. LSU or Florida State.
I mean, LSU. That one's close, though.
Jaden Daniels at the Heisman, I would take LSU. I would probably take Florida State over Arizona, who's 14. Like, who's Arizona?
Yeah.
I would take Florida State. What about Louisville? We just saw that.
Yeah, but I know it's so close. I feel like if those teams play each other 10 times, it goes different each way.
I would probably lean Louisville. Notre Dame.
I I'm not sure. I would probably go Florida State over Notre Dame.
Okay, so that puts them somewhere around 13 or 14.
Yeah. Like in the grand scheme of things. When you go talent-wise.
Yes. All right. Let's go ahead and move to the Heisman finalists. We have kind of what we expected. Jaden Daniels, who I think would be my pick. Michael Penix, the quarterback from Washington. Bo Nix, the Oregon quarterback. And then, of course, Marvin Harrison Jr., the wide receiver for OSU. Mm-hmm. Who is your pick for the Heisman?
I have no idea. It is so close.
To me, I think Jaden Daniels is a slam dunk home run of a pick. If you look at his stats versus that Joe Burrow year where everyone's like, Joe Burrow had the best season of all time. Jaden Daniels has the same freaking numbers. He has been, you just don't pay attention because they have 3 losses. But 3 losses? It's not like he has a losing record.
And you don't.
He's 9-3 in the SEC.
You don't have to be undefeated to win the Heisman.
Johnny Manziel won it with I think 3 losses.
2 or 3, yeah.
Yeah. Like I think he is the clear-cut Heisman. Bo Nix is fine. But he's very safe, does not push the ball on the field, doesn't provide as much with his legs. Penix is fine, but I just didn't see, he's okay. Statistically, Jaden Daniels has been better.
Yeah.
Marvin Harrison he's good. But let's not convince really good draft prospect for the best player in the country.
That's true.
He's not even a top 5 statistical receiver in the country this year. Draft prospect, yes. Probably the best one we've seen since his dad, maybe.
I just like this because this is, to me, it's anybody's year, really. I don't think there's a clear-cut one. You know what I mean?
See, I just disagree. If you look, and no matter what metric you look at, Jaden Daniels is so much better than everybody else. I don't know. I think you have a point though where there's not like Caleb Williams was just a no-brainer.
Nobody was going to
no-brainer. So I agree that it's closer this year, but I think Jaden Daniels should be the favorite. Okay. Story number 3 here. Shohei Ohtani, little baseball.
Love it.
Obviously has not signed yet. Probably the most coveted free agent over the last decade, maybe.
Oh,
there's an argument. Sure. There's an argument. So here are the following betting odds for teams to land him. We have the Dodgers at plus 200 as the favorite. The Chicago Cubs at plus 450. The Giants at plus 500. The Blue Jays at plus 650 going north of the border there. Atlanta plus 1,000. The Yankees at plus 1,200. The Rangers at plus 1,500. And Boston and the Mets tied at plus 2,000 there. If I had to... So I think he's made it very clear he wants to win. If he was about the money, the Angels will pay him money. Okay. I think he'll get slightly more elsewhere, but we're talking the difference between $300 million and $325 million. I understand that that's a lot of money. $25 million is more than I'll ever make, but he's making. I don't think Shohei. I think he would take a $25 million pay cut to win.
I think so.
If the Dodgers would offer him less than, say, who else on this list? Say the Giants, who we don't really know. They're kind of up and down, or like the Mets. I think he would go ahead and take the Dodgers for $25 million less to win games.
Plus for that brand.
The brand, you're staying in LA, you could do a ton of ads. He would be as a baseball player, which is now probably arguably the 3rd most popular league. It used to be number 1. It's now probably the 3rd most popular league. He might be the biggest star in LA at that point. For the Dodgers, not for the Angels. If he's a Dodger, is he a top 5 star in LA? Probably. Is he a top 3? Probably.
Yeah. Yeah. And that alone. So, you have to factor that into, your pay, per se. You know what I mean?
It'd be LeBron.
No, you'd also have the same thing if he went to the Yankees.
He'd probably be the biggest star in New York.
Yeah.
Daniel Jones isn't. There's no star quarterback in New York. Because usually it's the star. Eli was the biggest name in New York for a long time. Mm-hmm. There's no star quarterback.
Market's open for him.
I think he would be he'd be the number 1 star in a lot of cities, but he would be a top 2 or 3 star in an LA, Chicago, or New York, which are loaded with
is going to garner you so much extra money.
Yeah, I would agree. So if I would advise him, is it good for the league? No. But if I was his agent or his advisor, I'd say go to the Dodgers. To the Dodgers.
Biggest brand, biggest chance to win.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
And a ton of money to go along with it, so it's not
he's going to get paid a ton of money no matter what. Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and move to the Issues Game of the Week. That's all we have for the news. Again, mixing it up. We had 2 college football stories there and 1 MLB story. We talk enough NFL. Let's mix it up a little bit.
Yeah.
give a little something for everybody out there. Let's go ahead and go to the game of the week. We have Buffalo traveling to Kansas City. We're split. You like Buffalo, or I like Buffalo. You like Kansas City.
Mm-hmm.
I just think, call me crazy, I think Josh Allen over the last 2 or 3 weeks has been playing better football than Patrick Mahomes. And is that partially because of the weapons? Sure, it definitely can be. But I trust Buffalo more in terms of weapon and offensive scoring. Kansas City scored 22 a game over their last 3 games. That's just not good enough. I saw Buffalo go toe-to-toe, hang 34 on Philly at Philly. I think Buffalo's a good team. And I don't know what I'm getting from Kansas City week to week. I know they're starting to score in the second half. That's great. This past week they had like 9 in the first half. That's not going to do it either. Like, so you got to stay consistent. They're not consistent enough. I think Buffalo's got it. You like Kansas City. Go ahead and give us your sales pitch for Kansas City, then we'll get into keys to win.
Are you tired of seeing Josh Allen be reckless with the football? Well, I am too. That's why you should bet Kansas City this week. So
it's an infomercial.
Here's the thing. Like, I love the Bills. I do. And I think they have – the Philadelphia game was very telling.
And they're off a bye.
Impressed me a lot.
Just throwing it out there.
But at the end of the day, it comes down to Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes.
Wait, is KC off a bye too? No, they just lost.
No.
I'm sorry. Duh. They lost on Sunday night.
Yeah.
Slightly shorter week.
So, look, when you look at it, I'm looking at the quarterback talents. I like Mahomes more than Allen.
Okay.
The receivers and the weapons worry me. I like the defense in Kansas City more than they.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
They have regressed, and I think a little bit differently of them now since I saw the Green Bay game. But I'm still confident in taking them over the defense that we've seen in Buffalo so far this year. I think if the cards fall the right way and Andy Reid is a genius, they're going to have a great scheme. They're going to get guys open. Now, can they catch the football? Hopefully. But I do think that Mahomes can kind of have his way with the Bills' secondary. Now, the pass rush, like, we're going to have to make sure we're getting the early window throws too and kind of layering routes pretty well. But I think overall, you're going to see a really good game from the Kansas City Chiefs here. They're going to have to start playing up to those levels of expectation, especially going now into this really late season, looking into the playoffs. The Bills are going to they're going to be a team you have to beat. They're going to be a sneaky wildcard team. They're going to sneak their way in. My prediction is they'll sneak in over Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh will fall out. Bills will come in.
Charged with them winning this game, I'll tell you that much. I'll tell you what, that infomercial thing cracked me up.
Yeah.
I love infomercials because like, hey, is your mop a regular mop? Why don't you pay $100 for this mop that pivots? And you're like, dude, I mop 4 times a year. Like, what are you talking? Like, that's not worth it. I'll take my regular mop.
I mop at the change of the seasons, Adam.
Yeah, like that's it. That's all I do. Yeah. Like, it's so funny. Like, does your phone drop down that little crack in your car? Well, here's a $30 gadget to shove in that. Like, what are we talking about here? This is wild.
Get a freaking tea towel from the kitchen and shove it down.
Yeah, I'm like, this is just dumb. All right, anyway, let's get to these keys to victory here. So let's start with Buffalo, as they are the underdog and the visiting team. Their offense, I think you got to get Dalton Kincaid, the young tight end, involved. They have a mismatch versus those Kansas City linebackers. I think they're on like the 3rd Mike linebacker. Like, they are banged up in that front 7, so I think you have the mismatch with Dalton Kincaid. Plus, I don't like either of the safeties in Kansas City. I like the DBs a lot. I like the pass rush a lot. I think the safeties and linebackers are very meh. And so I think if you can get matched up, Dalton Kincaid matched up on whatever matchup you like, given the personnel, probably a linebacker, ideally, that is a huge mismatch. That's how you can kind of exploit. So he'll be on the end of the line, I think more so than he may be used to. So he is lined up with a linebacker. Maybe a little chip and get out into the flat, make somebody miss. I think Kincaid's got to be a huge part of the offense.
100%.
Buffalo defense, you have to stop the run. And I know that sounds cliche, but here's why. And I can't believe I'm going to say it. I don't think Mahomes through the air is going to be able to win this game. I just don't. I flatly don't believe in the guys he's throwing the ball to. I don't think Mahomes has what it takes right now with these weapons and with how he's been playing to be able to win a football game himself without a good run game and some clever offensive plays. I think you have to run the ball. I think in the red zone, you're going to have to get cute. You're going to have to do the loop-de-loop huddle type thing and break out into a weird formation. They just don't have the talent to say, here it is, stop it.
So you're saying Kansas City needs to win on the ground?
They have to win on the ground. They're going to need 100. If they don't get to 150 rush yards, they're not going to win this football game.
Well, I think even just the semblance of a run game and being able to run the football is going to open things up for Mahomes.
I'm not worried. I guess the yards are going to be important, but I think what's even more important is the attempts. If they don't have 30 attempts, they're not winning this game.
Yeah.
Even if Mahomes is part of that, even if Mahomes has 7 carries. I'll take it. Kansas City offense, I do think you have to get the ball out quick. I know yes, obviously running the ball, but these can kind of be extensions of the run game. Screen plays, little quick slants, quick outs, flat routes, right? Something that you can get the ball out quick. It seems like most of the drops are down the field throws, right? That late pass to Marquez Valdez Scaling, that the Kadarius Toney late drop against the Lions all the way back in week 1. That was 15, 20 yards down the field. It seems like when you get the ball out quick, slants, screens, they can catch that. And they have some guys good after the catch, right? Kadarius Toney could make you miss in a phone booth. Sky Moore is really quick. Even Travis Kelce for a tight end is elusive. So I think if you get the ball out quick, don't overcomplicate their ability to catch the football. Let them catch it easily, and then do the hard part in space, make guys miss.
Yeah, I like that. And we know that Mahomes has no problem with the timing throws, like the mundane stuff that you have to do as a quarterback.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, what was it? The Super Bowl, I think he had one incompletion in the second half, and it was a throwaway. He's fantastic. Kansas City defense, I think it's turnovers, which, I mean, that's pretty obvious. Any game that you play against Josh Allen, because they have the talent. They have the ability to score on every possession. The only time... I feel like they turn the ball over more than they punt at this point. Like, they lose possessions because of their turnovers. So if you can steal possessions from Josh Allen, that's how you're going to win, because there's a good chance on most of the possessions he doesn't turn the ball over, they're going to get points. So you have to utilize and you have to capitalize off those turnovers. So defensively, flip the field with some turnovers.
I like that. I like it a lot.
That's it for keys to victory. Score predictions.
Yep.
I will go I will go Buffalo. It's the second time I've done that. Is my heart telling me KC? No, it's not.
I think you like the Chiefs.
No, I don't. I'm going Buffalo. I said 35-24 in predictions. I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to go 35-24 Buffalo over Kansas City. I think they score late to kind of put it away. I don't think it feels that distant. I think it's going to feel like a 3 to 4 point game most of the game. Late touchdown's going to cash it for Buffalo.
Kansas City 33-31.
Ooh, okay. Like it a lot.
Super close. Back and forth.
Side note, that still means you like Buffalo plus 2.5. That's all I'm saying.
Anyway. It's something to keep an eye on.
Anyway, guys, that is all we have. Go ahead, partner, take us out. Do the outro for us.
All right. Well, make sure you go to theissuesports.com before you do anything else. The link for it is found in the description of the video episode. No matter where you're watching, how you're watching it, it's there. So go click on that. Go check out the website. Guys, we really appreciate you watching, hanging around, sticking around all the way through into December now. We will be back next week to predict Week 15 as we round out this year's NFL season. And that was The Issue.